All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Meet the Team. For the first question here, if you just kind of want to introduce yourself, your role at Rowell Payroll, how long you've been here, and
Sure.
everything.
So I'm Emily Rowell. I'm the manager of the payroll department. I have been doing this for, I started when my daughter was born and she's 21. So it's going on about 20 plus years that I've been doing this. So
That's awesome. A lot of
yeah,
experience.
been a while.
And
Just a stint.
and what originally got you into payroll? Is there any
So
specific thing?
actually, I started out doing what you do. I started out in the sales and marketing department with my sister-in-law Becky.
Yeah.
And so what Ron did was we were at home with our kids. I had two kids by that point, and so I was attempting to be a stay-at-home mom. I can't sit idle very well. So Ron said, well, I've got something you could probably do from home. You can just, here's a list, call all of these clients and see if they're interested in payroll. And then I got a little frustrated not being able to sell something I knew anything about.
Yeah.
So for me, what happened was people would ask me questions about payroll, and I didn't like sounding stupid in my
I
opinion.
can relate to that.
And so I was like, I don't understand or know what it is that I'm selling. So I came in and I shadowed the payroll, some of the gals in the payroll department for a week or two. And I think Ron sort of said, okay, you've got an aptitude for doing this.
Yes.
And I said, well, I would prefer to probably do it rather than sell it anyway. So
Yeah, cold
that's kind of, yeah, I did not like the cold calling. The cold calling was,
It sucks.
yeah.
Cold calling is not fun.
It's not fun.
And what do you think, what's one thing business owners often underestimate when it comes to payroll? Whether it's like a new business owner that's just starting payroll or someone who's kind of been in a different payroll company.
Honestly, I think sometimes they underestimate how important it is.
Yeah,
That it's important that it's done timely, it's done right.
yeah,
It's the employee's livelihood. Their paychecks are extremely important to them. They wouldn't probably be working
no.
if they weren't, they didn't care about their
Yeah,
paychecks. And I think that a lot of times it can just be under the idea there's a lot to it. There's so much to it. There's reporting, there's tax payments.
yeah,
Sometimes there's benefits that go into the whole equation. And so I think that sometimes it's underestimated how much of their own involvement is going to be in it
yeah,
too.
absolutely.
And sometimes that means if they're not going to be able to be the ones to do it, maybe they need to appoint somebody to do it. And in some cases, let's hope that they can have the payroll company take care of the majority of it. There are, they still have to keep, they can get the timekeeping system.
Yeah, makes it easier.
But there's still some involvement that has to be done on behalf of the client.
Yeah.
Even though we really are trying to make things a lot more streamlined so that there's
Yeah,
less involvement that they have to do, but it's definitely a very important
yeah.
thing that
It's one thing they could jump into it, not know.
yeah, and they want to start, if they want to start doing it themselves, there's penalties for not filing on time, for not paying on time. And it can be very overwhelming because sometimes it's just hard enough just making sure you've got the cash flow coming in
Right.
from the projects you're doing to be able to make sure you're able to pay your
Yeah, pay them.
employees. And so having to worry about paying taxes on time and reporting things on time shouldn't be something that would be a burden
Yeah.
on our clients. It should be something that we can handle.
Absolutely, I agree. What's one of the biggest payroll mistakes you've seen, or a common payroll mistake you've seen, and how do we help prevent that with Rowell Payroll?
Gosh, I'd say that misclassification of workers sometimes can be a pretty big
okay.
thing. People assuming that they can just treat someone as a 1099 contractor when technically if it walks and talks like a W-2 paid employee, it should be a W-2 paid employee.
Yeah, it's might be a big mistake, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. Check with your accountant at all times to
Yeah.
confirm if you think that they wouldn't qualify for one or the other. But another one too is salary
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
a big common misconception that some people do is they assume that just because they put someone as a salary paid employee, that that person's not exempt from overtime.
Oh, yeah.
And you gotta research those laws too, because that might not be the case.
Yeah.
There's salary exempt and then there's salary non-exempt, and salary non-exempt need to have overtime reported. So I think a big one
Yeah.
is a misclassification.
Yeah, absolutely. That would make sense. And for Rowell Payroll, what do you think makes us different from some bigger national chain providers that you've seen or noticed?
I think that we are, we're a family-owned
Yep.
private company, and I think that there are things that you get with a smaller
Yeah.
scale, more personality, more personability. I get a lot of people who tell me that they'll call Paychex or ADP and there's a different person answering the phone every
Yeah.
single time
I've
they
heard that
call.
as well.
And or they've told us that it's been outsourced to a different country.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. That happens.
so,
Yeah.
for us, we're here, we're in the office, I think we do have, Becky's obviously
Yeah.
remote from Texas, but she's here in Oregon
Yeah.
often. So we're here, we're localized, and we strive for longevity with our staff. We don't want
Yeah.
people just, rotating door. We want them
No,
to come in,
absolutely.
we want them to learn and stay
Yes.
for years is the goal.
Stay with it.
So the hope is that the person who can call will be able to recognize that there's the same ladies, same people working on staff.
Yeah.
That
Know
it's
their
not-
company, know
it's
their
a different,
business.
yeah, knows your company, and it's not a different,
Yeah.
it's not a different person every time. We
Yeah.
also don't know anybody. We don't expect anybody to call and, give us a company number,
Right.
just call and say where you are. Sometimes we recognize who you are based off of your name and your
Right.
voice, and we don't need to look up your company to know who you are. I think that's an important thing.
Absolutely. And how do we keep things running smoothly when there's a payroll crunch or a deadline, let's say maybe a holiday or like a quarter end? Like, how do we make sure, or how do we just make it smooth for everybody, basically?
Notifications to clients.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We definitely try to send out reminder notifications.
Yeah, that's huge.
Our payroll system, direct deposit's a big thing that has to do with time crunches.
Yeah.
We get a lot of clients who are needing to submit their payroll by a certain time window. That's beyond our control. It's the banking world. The banks are closed on certain days, and so what happens is it's required that certain things are funded by certain times. So
Yeah.
we definitely attempt to not only have our system notify our clients that it's time to submit their payroll, we also attempt to send out notifications that warn people about
Yeah.
holidays. And we also try to send out attempt to contact
Yeah,
the clients
absolutely.
around the day of that says, there are rare occasions where something might happen that, it looks as though I had a situation once where the client originally submitted their payroll in advance by mistake, and it was reversed, and
Oh,
then it was ran on time, but then that one that was for the future
yeah.
was looked at as though it was already turned in.
I
And
see that.
so, which makes sense, but it still made it so that that person was scrambling to turn in
Yeah.
their payroll. But things happen, and we always try to advise our clients that the best thing is they can get a processing calendar from us
Yeah, that's
that's well in advance, or they can go on to the payroll online system that shows what their processing calendar is, and it has the
Yeah.
dates that they need to be submitting their payroll. And so I think that notification to the clients is probably,
that's huge.
it's very big.
Is that email and text or mostly just email?
At this point, I think there's a very small amount of people who are getting a text
Yeah.
message, but it's mostly email.
Okay, yeah, that's great to know.
Mhm.
Perfect. What do you do, or what do you like to do when you got time off or like weekends? What's your favorite thing to do? What do you enjoy?
I think because I feel like I'm go, go, go so much
Okay.
during the day. And every day is just so reliant upon timing windows, what time of day is it? Is it time yet for this time? Is it, are we, is the end of the day coming? Because that by a certain time, we're gonna have to start processing our evening files. So I think that so much of our day is revolving around time, and it's busy, go, 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 that honestly, my favorite thing to do is nothing.
Be outside,
I
have
just
down,
like
relax.
to just decompress, relax, maybe sit outside and, you know, in a swing and enjoy the outdoors. Read a book, binge watch television. I'm pretty bad. A lot of people will tell
That's
you
fun.
that their favorite thing to do is go hiking or go on
Go out.
vacations and take trips. And
Like,
yeah,
I'd rather.
my favorite thing is a staycation where my husband will come home for the day and still see me in my PJs and say, "What have you been doing all day?" And I say, "Nothing."
Nothing. Watching this movie and that show.
Watching television. And that's pretty sad, but I can blow a whole week doing that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well,
Fun to be able to-
sometimes you can have a lot of mental stress, you
Yeah.
know, with important, you know, payroll, like I mentioned, payroll is important.
It is important, yeah.
You know, and so it can be a lot of mental stress. And so it's nice to just let your brain just come mush for a little while, just
Yeah.
watching mindless television or
Absolutely.
something else like that.
And what's one thing or a couple things you may be excited about for the future of Rowell Payroll, whether it's like, you know, with new technology coming out or just things that we're able to do or
It's a little scary, but at the same time, I'm kind of excited to see how AI has an impact on
Yeah.
things. I think that's, you know, that's kind of taken a lot of things um into the future.
Yeah.
You know, I'm hoping that more things that help our clients, things like our employee benefits tracking pieces.
Yeah.
You know, retirement plan integration. We're really trying to focus so that there is more capability that our payroll system is capable of doing.
Yeah.
That hopefully does take the stress off of our clients, you know, like for example, with benefits tracking, it's, you know, that can be a lot. And for them to have to be the ones to remember that it's time to reach out to the employee and
Yeah.
it's time for open enrollment. You know, do you want to take advantage of this health insurance or
Yeah.
not? Or if you do you want the family? And here's the pricing. I think that's a big
That's huge.
thing. Maybe not necessarily for, you know, very small companies, but some of the larger ones. We also have our integration going on where, you know, just any company, any one in Oregon, any company that has one employee or more is subject to the Oregon Saves if
Oh, that's
they
a big
don't
one.
already carry a company retirement plan.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, with having the integration there, the idea is that'll make it a lot easier because it'll automatically send data to
Yeah,
the
that's
organization's plans and the data comes back. And so we have a very affordable, you know, piece there. So
Yeah.
I think our integrations and, you know, are definitely something that we're striving to continue to build on.
Yeah. And you've also seen a lot of like, I'm sure back in the day when you first started with the payroll department, there's a lot of paper. And
Yeah.
since then, you've probably seen a lot of change, right?
Yeah, yes. I think when I first started doing payroll, everything was submitted by fax.
Yeah.
Timesheets were received. There was email. There was quite a bit of email, but the digital piece of it was just not as robust as it is now. When I think we barely had anybody who even used any type of payroll submission online portal.
Yeah.
And now I'd say we have like 75,
Yeah.
80%
A lot of people like to use that. Yeah.
people who are using in some capacity. Actually, it might even be more than that. Some capacity our online system that gives them so many things, the ability to submit,
It's so nice.
check their employees, go over reports, graph custom reports. So I think that
Need stubs or anything they need, right?
if the employees have that mobile app where they can view their paycheck stubs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely become a lot more computerized.
Excited to see where the future's going to take us.
We went, you know, with the exception of actually printed packets, we went paperless quite some time ago to where now everything that we do receive is digital. So we're not printing everything out, keeping a bunch of records around. So it's made it easier for sure.
And what would you say for anyone who's thinking of joining us for payroll, whether they've had someone before, a big company, or they're just starting payroll? What would you say if they're thinking about reaching out to us? Give us a call or checking out our website.
I'd say just give us a call.
Yeah, super easy, right?
Yeah, because I think where some of the places may be try to go through websites or,
Yeah.
you can go through our website, say, hey, you would like a quote, but just call up our number and then most of the time they'll get you.
Yeah.
They just need to get a quote and talk about how much it's gonna be and,
See if it fits their needs, and then we're ready to roll.
see if we're gonna achieve what it is they're needing, and we try and make the transition process as smooth as possible.
Absolutely.
Try and go over as many questions as we can. Make it so that it's not a scary procedure. We get a lot of people who believe that the only time that they can switch payroll companies is at the end of the year.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And I've had a lot of people who have said that the only time they think they can switch is at the end of the quarter too.
Yeah.
While that may be in some cases easier to do it from the end of the quarter, if you're in a tight pinch and you can't do that and you need to switch payroll providers now, that's no issue. We'll go over
Absolutely.
what we believe would be potentially have been outstanding from your previous company versus what we believe is needing to be paid versus not. So
all the history of what they have, and just kind of load it in.
we'll obtain the history and get that loaded in, and so.
Awesome.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Give us a call.
Give us a call.
He'll talk with me. Our payroll number is 503-489-6400. You'll probably reach one of the payroll ladies, and then they will give you to me. Then you'll probably work with Emily to get started, and then we have a couple ladies who process the payroll, and we'll be happy to talk with you. So awesome. That's our meeting. Thanks for doing it today, and we'll see everybody for the next one.
Bye.